Wonderful. Hello and good day. My name is Chris Palmer with chrispalmer.org. In today's video, what I'd love to go ahead and share with you is roofing SEO tips for your local roofing business. So I primarily want to drill down from the thought process, and I want to show with a live example. I'm helping out a company, a local roofer in New Orleans. They're at a unique position. They have multiple services. They want to target multiple areas. And I know this will be massively helpful for you. See, they're in a unique position because they have relatively new content. Their homepage is ranking. They want to take over. And I think it would be absolutely phenomenal for me to walk through the thought process and the implementations that you can do for yourself along with help them. So I don't want to waste too much time here. Of course, I have to showcase it. My own stuff. It's chrispalmer.org. Please, if you need help with this type of thing, we have consultation. If you click this button, scroll down to the bottom, whether it's links, citations, directories, whatever it is, I have you covered. Enough about me. Here's how I can help you. All right, so we're going to talk about roofing today and roofers. I already started to develop a list because I was going to make a list and then share the list. But I thought, why don't we cover what's important? I'll show you the live example, and then we'll discuss the best ways to optimize. All right, and I think that would be the most fruitful for you and for this video. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Now, I started working with keywords because keyword selection, keyword optimization, which variations? Is it roofer, roofing, roofers, right? Or should I just go for roof? You know, this question comes up a lot. And then there's a magnitude of different roofing. There's roofing contractor, roofing contractor. Then there's metal roofs, there's shingles, residential, commercial, right? Like, which should I go for? When I'm saying keywords, this is what I mean. Variations and types of service. Now, you as a roofer, you know what you do, right? So let's go to our example so we can discuss how you can understand what is going to be the best for your business and what's going to be best for hardy roofs. Here, let's go ahead and look this up real quick because I need the exact, I think it's a Hardy Pro extension. Just bear with me. I look at a lot of websites, so bear with me. It is, let's look up metal roofers, Kenner. I think it's Kenner, LA, and mind my little bit of slack here. I work on a lot of websites. Okay, so bear with me here. I don't know the exact spelling of it, but we'll get right to it in a few moments here. So Kenner, Louisiana is what we're going for. How about just roofers? Because I know they're in Kenner. Bear with me here. Don't worry. That's why I streamed it, because I wanted to go through some of the thought process. I wanted to go through some of it. Hardy Pro Construction. All right, I was close. All right, so here's the site that we're looking at, and this is what I mean by a unique position, right? Because I run across this a lot. There is a proper structure to be utilized. There's proper keyword usage to be utilized. There's proper internal linking. We're going to talk about all of that. But the reason why I think that this business is in a very unique position is because even though they have new content, right? Like they've gone through, I know they've worked on their optimization. They're starting to deploy some structure. They're starting to deploy internal linking. When I take a look at their new content, right? When I do cash : I can see that Google hasn't been to their site since June 30th. They haven't been to the site in almost a month, right? So this is a great time. Like, hey, we have new content, but Google hasn't been back in a month. So if we're going to make a change, and it's going to be a change for the future, let's make it now. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this and stating this, because if you're working on your roofing website and you're looking at it right now and you could see, hey, I'm fixing structure, I'm adding keywords, I'm finding keywords, just because I'm doing it and I'm applying optimizations and recommending optimizations to this business, if you have a business that's 5 years, 2 years, a year, and you're already on page 1, this does not mean that you should go out there and execute massive structural changes to your website. In this instance, yes, I think we should, right? They're relatively new. They're just starting out. They're just starting to pop up. Their homepage is showing up, and Google hasn't been to their site since they added the new content. In this instance, yes, we're going to talk about keywords, keyword shaping, sculpting and crafting the best structure or architecture for the website. But every situation is unique, and you need to look at your situation currently. Are your pages showing up? Are your pages ranking? Or have your pages been there longer than 6 months? If yes, and your only issue is structure and on-page, take a look at the on-page before making drastic changes to your structure. Okay, I just want to state that because I talk to business owners. And sometimes they're like, "Oh, Chris, I made these changes." And I'm like, "Oh no, change it back." You're erasing a year of work, right? Google's a product, just like what you're selling. And a lot of times business owners aren't at the top because they're the best. They're at the top because they're a sure bet. And that makes a massive difference. Page age matters. I just want to state that for the record. Okay. Page age is a factor. Let's move on back to keywords. So when we're looking at this business and when we're talking about roofing businesses, this is often the case. And we're talking about keywords now specifically. Sorry for jumping around, but that's how I am. All right. I have a lot of ideas that I want to get across to you in a relatively quick amount of time. Okay. Like in a half hour. Okay. So we're looking at keywords. Businesses are often the same. We know that roofing services, commercial roofing, residential roofing, and metal roofing. So when we're making a decision like this, we have roofing and residential roofing, roofing service, roofing service, and residential roofing. So how do we decide what is the best? Well, the first thing is we know that we're roofers. We know that we have a roofing service, and we know that we offer residential roofing. But what does Google think? So when we're looking at number one here, when we're trying to decide keyword and keyword variation, we need to go to the Serps in our location and do a search and figure out, well, what does Google think? So let me show you exactly what I mean by this. All right. So we're going to head out here to Google and we're going to type in roofers, first and foremost, roofers, roofing. Okay. Roofers, roofing, and roof. Let's just look at roofing and roofers, okay? So roofing, 49.5, 49.5. Now what we're going to do is we're going to search for roof. Roof, 49.5. So we know that volumes are the same depending on the variation. Check, great. We know that volumes for broad match are relatively the same. Now what we need to understand is, do we want to go for roof, New Orleans? Probably not. Roofing, New Orleans, because remember, we're adding a modifier in order to see, well, what is Google rewarding? If Google is rewarding the same sites, then that means, and then here, they have one that's roofing service, if I remember correctly. Roofing service, New Orleans. And then they have residential roofing, New Orleans. Okay. Residential roofing, roofing service, roof New Orleans, roofing New Orleans, and roofers New Orleans. What are we deciding here? Well, first and foremost, we understood that the volume, the search volume, is the same amongst roofing, roofers, roofing service, right? It's all the same. Okay. Step one. Step two is Google rewarding different players, different competitors in the same SERP, or can I target all of these keywords in one page? I already know the answer, but I want to convey it to you. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at residential roofing in New Orleans because this is one that we have up, residential roofing. Now we take a look past the map pack. We see Garcia, Shiflet, Better Business. Oh, Better Business shows up. Remember this, check. That's a citation. That's a directory. That's for another note, right? Oh, that's a top citation. That's being rewarded. Let's get that, right? Let's get in position. Yelp showing up. Mark that down. You with me so far? Talking about directories. We put this off to the side. This is for our bank of information in order to dominate a SERP, okay? Google is rewarding Yelp and Better Business Bureau for residential roofing. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner, okay? So now we're going to take a look. Shiflet, right? We're talking about New Orleans. Garcia, Okay. And again, I don't know any of these businesses. This is just for educational purposes. I'm just showcasing so you can have better roofing marketing. Okay. If I'm mentioning a brand or whatever, I'm just for education. Okay. Shawander, probably pronounced that wrong. I apologize. And Infinity. I was like, I was thinking something else. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have. All right, shuffle it again. Yelp has moved up in position. Garcia has moved down. Better Business Bureau. Same top 4 players. And then here's this guy. We have a new player in town. That's this guy, but this is neworleans.com. Essentially a directory. Okay, so but the same roofing companies, players that look like us, it's the same people, same businesses for roofing service, Roof New Orleans, Roofing New Orleans. Next, Shiflet, Garcia, Better Business, Schwander, Yelp, Gaff, which I know is a manufacturer of the actual shingle. So they're going to be a player. They probably have 1 trillion backlinks, right? But still, the players are the same. Now we're going to move to the next one, roofers. We scroll down past the map pack and we can see Better Business, Garcia, Schliffit, same again. Angie's List has moved in position, right? Scroll down, Yelp, Gaff, Fluir. All right, but here's this player again. So we have an alternating neworleans.com, a directory. We could probably get our listing on that site if we pay dollars, right? So that's in there, and this is a new player targeting one Serp, okay? Next we have, again, Garcia, Shiflet, Better Business, GAF, Yelp, Schwander, and again, Infinity. All of these Serps are literally identical to one another. So then we need to make a decision. Where is the volume, right? And also, in the Serp, which one of these Serps has the highest probability of us being able to get in position, right? So then we take a look. What I like is roofers, okay? And the reason why I like roofers is because I see some odd players in place, or roofing, okay? Roofers or roofing. But here's the greatest and the best part. We can actually encompass and incorporate all of these keywords. We can capture them all. What we're really trying to nail down is which 2 variations do we want to have in our title tag and our H1 to have the main optimization of the page around roofing and roofers of New Orleans. That's going to incorporate inside of our title and our H1 tag. So now what we've talked about so far, so you can understand, is keywords, keyword variation, okay? 1B here, 1B is going to be keyword volumes, and 1C is understanding what keywords to target. And what I mean by target, here we'll add one more, which is going to be 1D, what players show up in the SERPs. Like I mentioned before, we took one basic idea, and as we can see with the site that we're aiming to help, they have service, they have residential, they have 2, but really they could have 1 targeting roofing and roofers. One title, one page, one silo that will incorporate residential, roofing service, roofers, and roofing all in one page, and then have their top level page. We're going to talk about this too. A top level page, a top level category page, a pillar page, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll talk about siloing down content. All right. That's actually going to be next. Understanding what is Google rewarding as far as structure and what we should have in place. But the first order of business is, what are our services? What do we provide? The first thing that we identified is that we are a roofing company. We are a roofing company, most notably offering roofing services, roofer services, roofing contracting services within Kenner, New Orleans, and Metairie in this particular instance. Great, we've identified that. The other services that we provide are commercial roofing and metal roofing. So we have two more that we have to take a look at and determine, should we combine these or do we need two separate silos? Let's take a look together. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that together right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to move Hardy over here. All right. Mr. and Mrs. Hardy are very great people. They're very, very nice. That's why I was like, hey, do you mind if I showcase this? I'll be happy to help you out. Let me show it online so I could drill down and we could talk about it. All right. So, and that's why we're here. So let's take a look at commercial now. All right. Is Google rewarding a silo separately for commercial as opposed to metal? All right. Because these are two separate services that we provide. Let's take a look. So what we're going to take a look at next is commercial roofing. Okay. But more importantly, how about in New Orleans? Does it already think I'm there? It does, because I think I changed my geo modifier. If you want to do this at home, this is called GeoSwitcher. It's from Valentin app. It's completely free. Go over to valentin.app. I have no skin in the game. I don't make anything from it. It's free. It's free. It's free. Go to valentin.app. Scroll down on the page. It's a free download. Go and get it. It's a Chrome extension. You can change your geolocation, or you can use a VPN like Nord or something. It's up to you. Okay. Here's commercial roofing, searching from New Orleans. Great. Now we're going to do metal roofing, searching from New Orleans. Okay. Our Serp has changed. This is not good. Metal roofer. Roofing is different than roofer. So I want to pay note to this when I'm setting up my roofing, or in this case, roofer page. A roofer in Google's eyes is different than roofing. Roofing implies that I'm looking to buy product. Roofer implies that I'm looking to buy a human. This is a massive constellation to understand. It doesn't matter what we think. It matters what Google thinks, right? So we want to be on Google's page. There's no question. So with knowing this and being armed with this information, now we have metal roofer, and now we're going to look for commercial roofer. And we're going to search from New Orleans because that is the hardest location in which of the ones that we want to target. So we can get all of our information based on that, and then we can drill down into other locations as we build out location pages. But for now, for information gathering phase, let's take a look at these. Okay. So now we're searching from New Orleans, searching for commercial. We're going to scroll down past the map pack. This should pretty much stay the same. You might see some shifting, but I would venture to guess that it's probably going to be the same players. Shiflet, Cooper, New Orleans. Shiflet shows up twice. So this is the king, queen, or the brand to beat, I would assume, in this location, because I've looked at every Serp now, and they're the ones to model. Okay. But let's take a look down this list. So we can see here for metal roofing, we have Garcia. Garcia seems to be relatively strong. Won't even try to pronounce it. Middle South, Stormguard. Okay. Let's go to commercial. So we have Roofing Solutions, which I noticed that they have a thing in here, I think. All right. I thought I saw them over here. Hardy's showing up for metal. That's amazing. That's what I like to see. That's good. So that page got rewarded. Stormguard, South, Janu, Garcia, Janu, Middle, Storm. Commercial. These are different players. These are, yes, Garcia's at the top with a different page. When I go over here to metal and I see Garcia, we have New Orleans, and then we have metal, right? It's the metal page. When I go to commercial, yes, Garcia's in the lineup. There's no question. They're not high up, but they have a unique page that is in the second position. But all of these other players are different. So what's this imply? What does this tell us? This tells us that we have two separate silos that need to be created, and these are two separate SERPs. Excellent. So far, when we're looking at this, in my opinion, what I'm seeing here, all right, I'll make a side note down here for Miss Hardy. I'll show you this. Right now, we want to go for roofer, right? We want to go for commercial roofer, and we want to go for metal roofer, right? And then we have our brand. Let's talk about our brand. Let's go and get our brand because this name implies the things that we do. Now, I would venture to guess that there's more that we do, and you can always add later. But now let's cement or construct, I should say. Let's construct exactly what we do first. So we have our brand. Hardy Pro Construction is a roofer, a commercial roofer, and a metal roofer. We're a roofer. We're not selling product. We're implying that we install, right? So this way we're on the same page with Google. Great. So what we've done so far is we've identified the keywords that match the services that we provide. We've taken a look at the Serps in order for Google to help us understand which keyword variations and keywords are going to be best for us to target. On top of that, we've also been able to identify which keywords we can incorporate together. Brilliance, right? Like this will help us out massively. Google pretty much did all the work for us. All we had to do was look. And yes, I'm doing this for Miss Hardy and I'm doing this for Roofer, but this can be applied for any business, all businesses. All right. I think I've hammered this home. Let's move into the next section. So this is section number 2. All right. What we're going to talk about next is how do we understand which structure is going to be favored the most by Google? Let's talk about that next. It's great that this is about a construction site because in order to paint the picture visually, because I'm a visual, it's easy to understand when you're building a home. You first pour the foundation, which is the keyword selection. But then we have to build the frame of the home, right? Let's say we're building it in wood. But when I'm building my frame on a solid foundation, my keyword research, the services I provide, that's going to be the foundation. Next, I'm going to build the home, and this is going to be the structure in which we outline our website. That's going to be position number 2. So we're going to go into number 2. We're going to talk about structure next. So we already have our example website here, okay? So we've already identified that we are this. Our brand is all-encompassing roofing, commercial, and metal. Excellent. We already know that we offer these services in 3 locations, Metairie, Kenner, and New Orleans. Wonderful. Perfect. Excellent. Now we need to understand, well, what's the structure going to be? And what are the common questions that often come up? Buy questions, right? How much does it cost? When should I get it? What's the difference between this guy and that guy, or this gal and this gal, or brand and brand, right? Buy questions. We don't create information to create information. It's information assisted selling. If I'm going to answer a question, it's because I need to lead to a sale. I hate that the world's that way, but that's what it is, right? So let's talk about our structure first, and let's go right back out here to Google to help us understand what they're going to reward. So let's take a look together. So what we're going to look up is we're going to go right to roofer because we've identified that that's what we want to target. So roofer in New Orleans, okay? But then we also want to look at roofer in Metairie, LA. And then we want to look up roofer in Kenner, LA, right? And I don't think I need to type it out because they understand that I'm here, but the reason why we're looking at 3 is because I cannot just take most of the time we can go to the hardest SERP. In this case, it'll be New Orleans, and we can identify all the math, right? How many words, how many headers, header optimization, how many backlinks, right? We can identify everything. But when we're talking about structure, the structure that might work for roofer might be different than what we need for commercial roofer. Now, if I have 5 services and these 4 say I need a flat structure and this one says I need a siloed or a hard structure, I'm going to go flat, right? But let's identify this together. Let's take a look because what we're doing is number 2 after keyword selection. The next piece is going to be, well, what's the structure? What's the layout? All right. So let's go ahead and do that now. So I've typed this in. Okay. Might want to keep this off to the side, right? Google is rewarding tigerdroppings.com, right? But they're also rewarding Reddit. They're rewarding Reddit for discussions and forums at the top above the Serp. This is an easy win for anybody out there. Like certain services, Google has decided to reward this. A year ago, I talked about this when I first saw it. This is an opportunity, right? Because you can slide in here and say whatever you want, right? It actually backfired on me. I created some pages for myself, but it doesn't matter. For you, you can still come in here and opinion sculpt. Okay, so with that being said, I want to point that out to you, but we're looking at Better Business, Shiflet again, Garcia, great. This is what we like to see. All right. Right. Same player. Excellent. Stormguard. Excellent. And Infinity. Wonderful. This is exactly what we like to see. Now, why is that? Because the same players that are showing up for the keywords, it's a perfect thing. Now, well, what's the structure then? Like, what structure is going to be rewarded? Like, there's no differential between players. Like, it's always the same people, same brands. That's good for us. It makes our lives easier, right? So when I'm taking a look at this, I could see quite simply directory. So a player that looks like us, homepage, top level page or pillar page, whatever you want to call it. They're actually being rewarded on their New Orleans page, which is quite interesting. Oh, I don't want to show. Some people get hanky with the brand thing, with the logos. Top 10 best. So best, I talked to a business owner this morning. They were creating best of. Best of articles are implying a informational query, can be helpful, right? But this is not to be replacing a high commercial intent keyword like roofing New Orleans. It's to have a roofer New Orleans page and then do a best of list. It's a both, not an either or. Okay. So with that being said, we keep scrolling down here. Homepage, top level page, homepage. Oh, that makes painful. That's the third level. Top level, homepage, and a directory. So the players that are looking like us, it's either going to be a homepage or a top level pillar page. Excellent for us. Let's move on to the other city. Next. Again, the same players, same structure. We have a new player, but they are 1-2 deep. Okay. Informational. And they have a hard silo. Wow, they are really deep. They led with state, city, service. State, city, service. State, city, service. What are these guys doing? Country, service. Wow, they went completely insane. Look at this. U.S. roofing contractor, residential, then USA again, LA, Metairie. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels. Luckily, they could get away with that kind of stuff. But these guys, again, super deep. Wow. All right, let's go to, oh, wow, they moved right up for Kenner. Right up. Wow. So I really think that what we currently have could be best for us. This might actually be best for us. Okay. So looking at the current silos, when we're looking at roofer, okay, many people might see different things. I think we all see the same thing through different eyes, right? But what I'm seeing is when I come over here to this site, okay, there's zero need for us to have residential roofing and roofing service. I think that we should have roofer, and then we should have our content that's going to target roofer Metairie, roofer Kenner, roofer New Orleans, right? These are two of the same thing. And if I had Search Console, I may or may not, I don't believe that I do. If I were to go and look, I would venture to guess that we're going to compete with ourselves. And when looking for these keywords, if I go and look, Google's probably either not showing us or they're showing the homepage. And the reason is because they're not sure. They're like, I see the words. Let's just show the homepage. This can be a problem. So when I'm looking at this right here, we put, oh boy, what's this one say? Oh boy. Okay. Close. So close. All right. I would do this. All right, New Orleans. What is it? New Orleans. It's this one that I don't. If to be honest with you, I wasn't sure of the spelling. Okay. Metairie, and then New Orleans. All right. When we're talking about structure, what we want is we want this. So I'm just going to lay these out so then we have them, and there's no question. I think I have two there, but that's okay. And then we would just want this right here. And then we have this here. Roofers. Just like this. Just like this. Looking at the leading competition, looking at their silos, looking at their structure, hard silos are being rewarded. This is the foundation that's being rewarded in these SERPs. It's clear as day. It's either directory, you have one homepage sitting in there. Almost every single person has a silo. Everyone is showing relevance of the last. Like it's either US, LA, Louisiana, USA, Metairie, the service, like they're just stacking. I don't want it to be 5 deep, but I do want to show relevance for the keywords that are most important, like roofers and roofing. So it's up to you. If you want to put residential in here, you can. If you want to put roofing, I like roofers and roofing. These are the two that I would stick with. In my opinion, this is where I would rock with. If you want to do roofers and then do roofer again, that's up to you. I would keep a variation just like this. Top level page roofers, and then we have roofing in Kenner, roofing in Metairie, roofing in New Orleans, right? And this is what I would do. I would take a look at commercial and metal roofing in order to identify which structure is going to be best, but I would venture to guess that it's going to be the same. We can go ahead and take a look. How about metal roofer in New Orleans? It's the same players, and they all structure their sites the same. And this is exactly what we want. We're not going to be able to compete with Better Business Bureau and GAF, but in time, we will be able to compete with Garcia in time. Might take a lot of time, but in time. So when I'm taking a look at this, when I can see that they're leading with New Orleans and then they have their top level page, I think that they have it set this way because they're a really large company. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if they're only in New Orleans or what, but looking at that they've led with New Orleans instead of a primary key term. Usually you lead with keyword and then you do location. The only way I generally see this is when it's a huge site. Better here, let's go take a look. I would venture to guess that they have a lot of areas. I could be wrong, but this is what I would venture to guess. New Orleans, roof repair. Let's just go and see here. That's just what my guess. This is my guess. Oh, they're all over the place. So they're in, wow, they are in, it looks like all Louisiana. Now they might be serving me this for another reason. But they have, is this almost every city in LA? What they're doing is irrelevant to us. the level in which we put the primary key term is irrelevant to us, but knowing that they have that structure in place is relevant to us. And when I see them in every single Serp, we need to model, and that's what we're looking to do. So we're going to take a look at that. Now, I want to point out the very next thing. So when we're taking a look at number two is structure, right? So number 2 is going to be structure, all right? 2A, what we're going to be looking at is look at Serps to see what is being rewarded by Google. Question mark. 2C, right? Is it hard silos? Right? 2D, floating silos. 2E, is it flat? Like, what is the structure and what is being rewarded by Google? That's all we care about. All right. So we're going to keep going on here. Give me this. Move this down here like this. Move this up to here. Okay. So we talked about number 2 being the structure, looking at the SERPs, what is being rewarded. I'm running out of letters here. E, let's go to F, 2F. If I see if homepage, then use pillar pages. Okay. What that means is if I'm seeing a homepage, I can't make my homepage about one thing, especially when I do multiple services in multiple areas. So what's the next best thing? Well, then I create a pillar page. For instance, if Google for New Orleans, for Baton Rouge, for Metairie, for Kenner was only rewarding top level pages and or home pages, then I would just create website.com/roofing Kenner, roofing Metairie, roofing New Orleans, roofer Biloxi, right? But in this case, when I'm looking at the winners and I can clearly see that everybody, almost everybody, except for one site, except for one, when I look down the list, it's going to be website.com/country, state, city, service. When I see that over and over and over and over again, then I'm going to put a structure in place. Easy peasy. So we talked about structure, identifying structure per keyword. We talked about finding keywords. We talked about variations, volumes, which keywords are best, understanding what Google's rewarding. We also looked at, well, what is Google rewarding as far as structure? We're going to move into number 3, okay? I want to make this very simple, okay? The very next thing that I want to put into place when we're looking at this is when we're talking, I'll stick with roofer so we don't get too confused here, is which questions are coming, which questions will support a sale, but which questions are most often talked about when looking to buy a roof. And these are the pieces of content that we want to create. So when I come over here, let's just see, I don't know if we have it. Resources, choosing a professional. Okay. Review us. So I don't even see a supporting. However, look at this. How much? What's the biggest problem? How long do they last? What's the downside? Let's see if there's anything else. How about just roofers? Roofers in New Orleans. Excuse me, let me get a drink. Let's scroll down here. Roofers who aren't crooks. Oh, this is fun. So this is an interesting niche. I've probably worked on 9 or 10 roofing sites in my life. It's not my primarily focus on, primarily lately it's been law and real estate, but dentists, chiropractors, I'm just curious how much information. Let's take a look here. So what I'm going to do is I was trying to keep it with simple tools, but sometimes we need a little assistance, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the keyword magic tool. All right. And what I want to look to find, 4 o'clock, there shouldn't be anybody on here, is I want to look for, let's go to roofer. Let's go to questions. So I'm looking to answer questions that are going to assist a sale. Now, not only do I want to answer questions that assist a sale, but I want the most commonly asked, aka which ones have volume, but also as a small caveat or as an addition, they have to assist a sale, right? Which questions come up when thinking about installing a roof? Not only will this put me semantically correct with the Serp, right? I've answered all the questions. Like, I'm semantically correct. I have the proper keywords, the proper keyword placements. I have also the proper internal links pointing to the page. I've answered all the questions. Like, I am trying to position this website and your website as the authority. That's the goal. So not only am I trying to get the SEO benefit, but I also need to help my customer, right? So let's take a look at this. Why does the roof of my mouth hurt? That's not relevant. How long does a roof last? How much does a roof cost? How much is a new roof? AC gaskets. I see 2 so far. How long does tile? So tile is completely different. Maybe the difference between a metal and a regular shingle roof. Like, what's the difference? What's the benefits? What's the drawbacks? But you can see what I'm trying to better understand. I'm not a roofing expert. I don't know the most common. You might, right? So utilizing a tool such as this or keywords everywhere, works very well, not as in-depth as this, nor will I be able to seclude keywords as easily as SEMrush, but it works perfectly fine. So what we're looking to do is have anywhere between 2, anything that's relevant that has volume. Don't put a specific number on it. There's nothing specific with SEO. So do what's best for your website, because a chiropractor might see this and say, wow, there's 10 good relevant questions that need to be answered about this service that would make great informational content. Because the problem that you'll always run into with any website is once you have your high commercial intent keywords up, once you get in the top 3 positions, once you get your maps in position, once you have your LSA ads, once you have your organic ads, once you're already cooking, then where do you go, right? Let's say you do all of the work. You're in position in your top cities. Yes, you can add more cities. Maybe you can add more services, but where does a business go next? So it's always good to set yourself up, get yourself in position first. The thing with SEO is you don't get paid for what you did today, tomorrow. You get paid for what you did today, 90 days, 180 days from now. It's like a piggy bank, or it's kind of like, what do they call that? You get the, like, I invest today, compounding, kind of like compounding interest, right? However you want to think of it. I digress. Let's keep moving forward. So we talked about structure. We talked about keywords. Let's see. Do you guys have any questions quick? Actually, I better not. I better not answer any questions yet. Oh, hi, Miss Hardy. Let's keep going. I'm a little late. I told Miss Hardy, I was like, hey, as soon as I get off this call, I'll be right on at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. It's 4 o'clock. You know how the day goes. Plus, little Chris and I have a date. We're going fishing. So right after this, I'm going fishing. But that was at 5 o'clock. But that's okay. Let's move in. So if homepage, then use pillar pages. If home pages, let's clarify this, rank, then use pillar pages. Flat, like this is a question. Are they floating silos? Are they hard silos? These are questions that you're asking yourself, by the way, in case you didn't know. Number 3 is going to be supporting content. And the reason why I call it supporting content and not blog content is because of 3A. Does the content answer a question that leads, L-E-A-D-S, doesn't matter, to a sale? You guys get the point. That's what matters. The information matters, not the specifics. 3B. All right. So do you have supporting content? Does the content that you're going to create support a sale? Does the supporting content fit in a silo, right? Is it easily interlinked? 3E, is there volume, search volume, that is, search volume, any search volume. It doesn't matter if it's 10. If there's 10 people looking for how much does a roof cost, those are 10 buyers. Those are buyers. Those are people very, very low in the funnel. They're not up at the top like, what's a roof? You know what I mean? Like they're way down. Like they're starting to be curious of how long does it last? Well, what's the difference between this brand and this brand? What's the difference between metal and shingles? I don't know much about it, but you get the point here, right? Is there search volume, right? EF, 3F, and that's I want to hammer that home too. Any volume is worth it. I want to point that out. If there is volume that helps support your services that you provide, right? Like if there's actual people looking to answer a question about your service and it could lead to a sale, then is it worth the 40 or 50 bucks that you're going to invest in the content? Absolutely. If one $50 piece of content can lead to a roof, was it worth it? Exactly. So let's move on to number 4. All right. Now, number 4 is, I want to touch on this briefly. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the interlinking. All right. I want to point out something here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Give me 1 second here. I'm looking for a team. Let me see if I can go in here to here. Let me clean this out. I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? But I don't know what was up there. Probably PicMonkey. I was looking for vectors, stuff of that nature. But let's go to Search Console. Okay. And I want to point, and I pointed this out before, but I want to make this almost like a guide. Okay. I don't know if I could show that one, but I could show this one. Okay. I'm sorry, it's hot in here. I'm thirsty. What I want to show you is links. Okay, because the objective of what we're trying to do is showcase to Google where the important link flow is. How we convey to a robot what's important is by external links containing the keywords that matter to us and internal links containing the keywords that matter to us. The more that we have of both, the more important a page is. Then it comes down to filtering of the on page, and we're going to talk about that too, but bear with me here. So what I want to point out when internal linking is, well, these are all equal because we equally internally link. To us, all service pages are very important. But what I'm getting at here is when you come into your links and you look at internal, only thing I want to point out is where to look and how to look at this. Okay. Go inside of Search Console, pull up your links, go to the right-hand side where it says internal links, and the pages that are most important to you should have the most amount of internal links. If your homepage is sitting at the top when what you really want is to sell roofs in New Orleans, then your New Orleans page needs more internal links pointing to it so it rises up. This is level of importance. Google is outlining this for a reason. Okay, so I want to point this out to you of how you can track this and keep track of it and see what Google sees. So that was step 1. So I want to point this out. Number 4 is internal links. 4A is look at GSC to see where your internal link flow goes. Get it to the pages that matter the most. 4B. All right, now let's talk about how we internally link this. Let's go back to our little drop down because I want to expand on this. When we looked up roofing, Okay. Here, I'll even put this into here. Okay. So, paste. Make this bigger. Here, I'll make it wider. I'll get my little hand. I'll get this. I'll move this. Get the hand again. Move this down. Nope, just this part. Just this. Okay. So here's the beginning of our silo. Okay. Now, whether it's a hard silo or a floating silo, right? The silo isn't made by only structure. The silo is also made by internal link flow. So when we're looking at roofing, okay, when we're looking at roofing here, we can clearly see that how much does a roof cost? This was an important keyword, right? What else was important? How much does a new roof? Let's be specific, right? How much does a new roof? How much does a new roof cost? This was important. Another keyword that was important is how long does a roof last? Again, this is lower in the buying phase, right? Or lower in the funnel, however you want to look at it. How long does a roof last? How long does a roof last? Okay. And I would venture to guess that metal is its own keyword because it's its own Serp. Commercial has its own questions because it's its own Serp, right? Probably very similar. Just because it's redundant, if it's different Serps, it's different Serps. And if you show up more than once inside of a Serp, if this one's up here on first page and this one's down at number 60, that isn't cannibalization, all right? Only if this page is starting to eat clicks from this page, that's cannibalization. But if this one's at position 2 and this one's at position 60, don't worry about it, please. Like, don't make your life harder than it needs to be, right? You have roofs to put in or backs to crack or truck accident cases to deal with, right? Like, don't overcomplicate things. So let's just talk about these two because we know that they support a sale. B, we know that they have high volume. I'm sure there's others that we can talk about. I'm sure there's lots. Let's just say we have 2. Now, how would we go about on our website? How would we put these in position with our current structure and our current website? So we know that this is the home page. We know that we have a roofer top level page, pillar page, top level category page. I've heard it called all types of stuff. How about the service that we provide? And then the service we provide and where's the city, right? So here's who we are, here's what we do, and here's where we do it. Very, very similar to how citations are built too, which is the most important ranking factor, right? Who would have thought, right? But with that being said, let's go back over here and we want to start developing our silos, okay? So in order to develop our silo, it's very, very simple. The supporting content supports the main idea. So when we're developing a silo and we're answering questions about a service, then our location pages support the main idea, but so does our informational content, okay? And just because it's inside of the blog area or in our roofing tips area doesn't mean that the article cannot support a service. So bear with me here. Let's write these out here so you can see it visually. So here's how we want to create our supporting content. So when we're on our website, let's go back to our website briefly. We'll get rid of this. Give me this, copy, ditch this because we already hammered that point home. We're going to come over here. And what we want to do is we want to take a look at our, and I recall, I don't think we have a section, do we? Or do we? Okay. With the current structure, I don't see roofing tips, but I do see a anchor text, or if I were to look at this right here, I don't know if this is just a hashtag resources, and then you have a drop down with the articles in it. But let's say that there's one of 2 ways of doing this that I've seen be a success. You can either have resources and have a drop down, or have it say roofing tips with a drop down of all of our blog articles. Or we can only get to the blog articles supporting content from within our actual silo of what the service is. you can do it either way. You can have resources, and then each of these are the articles. Or when I'm on the roofing page inside of here, let's say, for instance, that you're linking to other roofing pages, one in Kenner, one in Metairie, and one in New Orleans. All we would simply want to do is, I'm just doing this from a simple standpoint. If I were to just add 2 more anchor texts, one was how much does a roof cost, and one was how long does a roof last, then that would be sufficient. I would hopefully want to maybe add it 1 or 2 more times inside the body text. And hopefully I have another link down in my footer going to these services, just like you do have. But inside of here, once or twice going to supporting content, and then from the supporting content back, this will increase the internal link flow going to the location pages. All we are simply doing is adding supporting content to support a sale and bring us more semantically correct as an expert or as the authority, because I've answered every question there is that's relevant without getting outside of. Some people go completely wild. They'll write about every little thing, and then they have weird pages that are getting traffic for nail heads, which is semantically related, but it doesn't really lead to a sale. That's not what we want. We want to very specifically answer very specific questions about the exact thing that we're doing that is going to very exactly help us get a sale. That's our goal. And all we want to do is inside of our body content, we want to link to that relevant piece of content. And when I'm on that page, I want to link back to my locations. Make sense? It's basically what you're going to do here is, if I were to look at this right here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 pages. This right here, let's just pretend that this says roofer, this says roofing Kenner, this says roofing Metairie. And what I mean by let's pretend is, see how this says New Orleans, Metairie, and Kenner? What if this said roofer New Orleans, roofer Metairie, roofer Kenner? And then it said, how much does a roof cost? How long does a roof last? That's an internal link block. Even if we did this the crudest way possible, I would take that block 2 times inside the body content, and I would put that on every page that has to do with roofer. To be more specific, that internal link block goes on this page, this one, this one, this one, and this one. This way, I'm internally linking my informational supporting content and my location and my top level page all within that silo. I've internally linked everything now. I've made a block, go into those pages, and I put it on in the body text 2 times on every page that's relevant. These pages right here, right? All of these from here down, not the home page. The home page is secondary to everything else. Who we are is one piece. Getting your brand traffic, that comes with time. You'll catch that. As you build authority, your brand equity will rise. What's first and foremost is I need to be able to rank for what I do, and then I want to rank for where I do it. And then in order to get this one to come into place, the more of this that you have, the better off this one does. This is time. This and this come with time. So what you do in the meantime is you go for lower and easier things to rank for, and you start building this, and this up. But the goal here is, I want to just point out 4B, where does the link flow go? What's the word? I want to write establish, but I'm not sure on how to spell it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. Establish with an E? Established. All right. Good. I was close. I was pretty close. Once you have established your primary page, location pages, and supporting content, want to link this concept right here Once you've established your primary pages, your location pages, and your supporting pages, I've talked to literally a Harvard, they graduated from Harvard. This was a very complicated concept to grasp. They got it, trust me. But this is a tricky one. Understanding, hey, my top level page is roofer. I do roofing in these locations, and then my supporting content are these. All of those pages are links. All of those links are actually words, and those words are put on the page 2 times to internally link to one another. That's internal linking in a nutshell. And I hope that I've been able to help you understand that. And let's move on to the very last thing, because I don't want this to be too long. And plus, I'm short on time. I wanted to be a half hour, but let's talk about one more thing. Okay. Talked about keyword selection. We've also talked about keyword variations. Where's the volume? We also talked about understanding, well, what does Google, like the difference between roofing and roofer? Google has a differentiate. Like they look at those differently, right? They differentiate roofing and roofer differently. Like this is a supply and this is a person or a service, I should say. So understanding that is massive. The next thing that we wanted to understand was, well, when I'm looking at different keywords, even though they're similar, like metal roofing and residential roofing and commercial roofing and roofing service, right? When I'm looking at these, how does Google view these? Can I combine roofing, roofer, and roofing service and residential roofing all into one page? Can I talk about all of those things in one page and just target roofers and talk about those things? Like understanding that is monumental. Understanding which locations are best. Like when you're looking at, I didn't mark this down, but I want to point this out. When I looked up Baton Rouge, and then I looked up New Orleans, and then I look up Biloxi, and then I look up Kenner, then I look up Metairie. Does my competition have unique pages? And if they do, is Google rewarding them, or do they just keep showing home pages? In our case, yes, our competition has unique pages, and yes, Google is rewarding them. In fact, they have gone completely mad. They have broken it down by subsection. Like Google loves that for this SERP, okay? But understanding that is important. The next thing we talked about was the structuring. Well, okay, now that we know the keywords, which keywords to target, which variations, which pages should we keep up, right? Then we talked about, well, how should we lay it in? Should I have a silo? Should my site be flat? Should I have a hard silo? Should it be a floating silo and just done with internal links? That was the next step. Then we talked about supporting content. Well, which topics should I cover? What should I write about? We talked about that. Only stuff that supports a sale that's farther down inside of the funnel. The next thing we talked about was, well, once I have my main page, my location page, and my supporting page, how do I interlink those? More importantly, how do I easily understand how to interlink those? And I hope that I've been able to describe that for you. Next, the next thing, even though it should have been up towards the top, number 5, is content. So the question I always get is what to write. 5B is how much to write. 5C, how to write it. And 5D is how many keywords to target. Okay? Now, this could be its own talk, all right? But I want to point out some of the key things that we want to understand, all right? And I've talked about this in on page a lot of times. What to write is very simple, all right? If you are a business, all right, in this case, what we're looking at is roofer, New Orleans. Understanding who you are as a business and who you serve gives you the ammunition of what you need to write. Like, you're a roofer, but do you want to talk about roofing nails? No. Like, what's the end goal? I want to sell roofs. I want to install roofs. Great. Well, where do you want to install them? Right? Like I want to install them in New Orleans, but I don't really want to install them in Metairie or whatever the case is. Understanding who you're trying to serve and understanding what services you provide and who your customer avatar is, massive. Once you know who you're trying to serve, then it's just a matter of, well, what exactly do you do? What is the outcome? When you know what your outcome is, then you can go and look and figure out all those other steps, like variations, which keywords should I get into the page? Huge. In our case, it was very simple to understand that, well, we do roofs, we do metal roofs, we do commercial, and that's what we do, right? So that's the first step, what to write. You write about what you do. The next piece is, well, how much do I write? Well, this is simple. Again, we look at Google to help us decide how much we should be writing. Like some people are under the impression to have 10,000 words or more is better. Not always. When you're looking at a SERP, you need to find the high and the low and the average. I need to know how much at most I can write, how little I can write, but then I really like to get right in the middle personally. That's what I like to do, right in the middle. I want to know how little I can do. I want to know how much I can do, but what's right in the middle is usually optimal in most cases. So how you do that is you can get a tool called SEO Quake. It's free. Again, a Chrome extension. There are tools like Page Optimizer Pro, Surfer. There's tons of them. There's tons. But most utilized is Page Optimizer Pro. That's what we've utilized for a very long time. It helps you do the math if you don't want to count it yourself. But what you're looking for is you go and you figure out, okay, this is a player that looks like me. This is a player that looks like me. And this is a top player. How many words do they have? This guy has 1,200. This guy has 1,400. This guy has, or this company, I should say, Shiflet, Garcia. I clicked on them twice. Let's go here and go here. I've gotten 3. So 1,000, 1,200, and 1,500. Well, how much do I write? Well, I got a person at the top with 15. I got a person at the top with 13. And I got a person at the top with 11. Equals divided by 3. 1,300 words. How many words? About 1,300. Now, on the high end, I saw that there was somebody with 26? Now, you should be looking at all the SERPs are 14. Figure out what the highest end is and figure out what the median is and get right in the mean. All right. But you know that you can add more. Now, why is adding more important? I'll tell you why right now. And this goes right back over here. All right. How many keywords to target? As many as Google rewards you with. That's why I ended that on this. So we know which keywords we're going to target based upon the services we provide, right? We know how to interlink them. We know our supporting content. We know how many words, right? And I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but the next step is figuring out how many headers and how many headers are optimized. That's another talk for another day. But how and why you want to know what the biggest amount of keywords is because as time progresses, Google is going to show you for more and more keywords, right? These are called impressions. And what you'll notice is you'll be getting a lot of impressions, but your pages will be ranking really low. Let me show you exactly what I mean by this. And the reason why it's important to know how many keywords I could get at most onto the page is because as time progresses, you'll be adding words. But you don't just add words willy-nilly. No. You add the words that Google already thinks your site is about. And how you figure this out is by looking at your ranking position and your impressions. When I have high impressions, but I'm ranking low, that means I need to add those keywords to the page more times. Why? More times means higher optimization. Higher optimization means higher ranking. Higher ranking means more clicks. Here's the process. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to come over here. You're going to go to your search console. This is a very time-intensive act, but it will be the most fruitful for you. I guarantee it. This I can guarantee. You come into Search Console and you look. All right. And what you're looking for, and I've made individual videos about this, is you'll come into here, you'll go to your search results. And what I'm looking for in the last 28 days, this is once you already have your content up, you have your high commercial intent, you have your supporting, you have all your pages up, you have them optimized in the mean. But I want to squeeze more out of my pages. Like, Chris, where do I go? I've built all the pages. I've done everything, right? Well, where you go is this. You come inside of here, you look at the pages that are most important to you. Once I've analyzed and figured out the pages that are most important, what I'm looking for is average position and impressions. Okay. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a low impression, or I'm looking for a high impression, but low rankings. Pool remodeling in Miami, number 21, but 177 impressions. It's been shown 177 times, but it's ranking number 21. What you'll do is you'll click on this, and we want to identify and make sure that the right page is showing. Let's just double check. Up at the top, it is pool. Well, you want to make sure. I think it was actually this one. Doesn't matter. Let's get through the process. Take a look and figure out, oh, this page is ranking number 20, but it's been shown as much as my high ranking pages. What do? I take that keyword and I take it over to the page that's relevant, that's getting the impressions and ranking low, and I increase the density of that keyword. But I can't just go to the page and stack up the keyword a bunch of times. You can, but clients aren't going to like this. You're probably not going to like this for cosmetic reasons. You could, but that's not optimal. It's not what you want to do. But what you can do is I can write a little more content related to that key term to get the keyword onto the page a few more times in order to bring up the rank of that specific keyword on that specific page. And this is called keyword gap analysis. And this is the little by little every single month, because people ask, oh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? This is what you do. And then this is how Brian Dean, I'm just going to use him as an example, starts off with a page that's 1,500 words. And then 2 years later, you have 4,000. He does it with comments, right? In order to optimize, make life easy. But still, that's how you go when you first launch a page. If you go back in the Wayback Machine, it'll launch at 1,400. Next thing you know, you got 9 million comments on the page, and the optimization is at 4,700, 6,700 words. It's because you're doing gap analysis and adding the keywords, right? And instead of having the right content, you can add it to the comment section. This is a strategy. It's very well known. This is a fun way to do it, but this might not be what's best for you. What's best for you, though, is doing this keyword gap analysis. So let's go back to the process and let's take a look. And, oh man, time flies by when I'm talking about SEO. My, oh my, I love my job. I do the work all day. This is the part that I enjoy the most. It's like, oh, hey, here's what I've learned, and hopefully it can help you. I could go on forever with this. I hope that I've been helpful today. All right. I might have ranted a little too much because I didn't even get to the link part. But there's so much to tell you. I will touch on this. I won't address the board because I hate typing and all this type of thing. But the next order of business, we've talked about keywords, keyword placement, keyword optimization, optimizing your pages. I slightly went over. We talked about keyword gap analysis, internal linking. I want to touch on one more thing. Okay. And I want to point this out. All right. Because we did a analyzation in the mastermind. That doesn't matter, right? I'm not pitching. It might sound like this, but what we did is we looked at the hardest niches in the hardest cities. And what I was really looking to do was the I got you for links with traffic, right? And yes, generally 16 to 20% of the links will have more than 1,000 traffic. That was for my own selfishness, right? Was to prove out that it doesn't matter if links have traffic. It has nothing to do with ranking. True. But what I found was the top sites in the top positions always have a exorbitant amount of name, address, phone number, and links back to their relevant pages. They almost all of their links, and we're about to do, I'll show you one live right now, are in category, and they have a massive amount of citations and directories. Here, let's prove it. So what I'm going to show you here is this. If I come inside of here, the difference between, here, watch this. We'll stay on topic here. Roofer in New Orleans. All right. Let's go to Roofer New Orleans. Who do we see show up in every Serp? Garcia, right? Watch. Here, I'll show you something. Let's go to Garcia. And how much do you want to bet? Like the difference between, here's a top player. Now let's even just go down. Like who shows up but doesn't show up as much, right? This person, like they show up, but they don't show up as much, right? Like I've seen them in the Serps, but they don't show up as strong as Garcia. Now this could be age, but I'm betting that it's actually something else. All right. So I don't know, but I'm pretty confident. I'm fairly confident. Watch this. So let's grab our things. I just want to point something out to you. So we got them both. Let's look up Garcia. All right. So watch. Come on. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Backlink. And this is just SEMrush. Remember, all tools or barometers for links look at things differently, just like human beings. We all see the same thing through different eyes. All of us, right? But I want to point something out. I can almost guarantee. Let's say together. The amount of no follow and the amount of citation and directory work that this company will have. And the category, I bet you, is right on point. Business, industrial. And I bet you they have an overexorbitant amount of links in that category. And then we'll go and look at the other company. Barely any no follows. It'll be night and day. I'll show you. So 1,000 referring domains. We'll come down here. We'll take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. First and foremost, we're going to look at category. Right on. Business, arts, but their top category is business, industrial. So they're getting them in category. Link graph matters. The sites that link to the sites that you get links from matters. It's called the link graph. It's super important. Like you can build 1,000 links, but if they're all internet telecom, you're not going to move. Not when business industrial is getting rewarded. That's one piece of it. The next piece of it is this. Here, another way to go in here and take a look is this. Let me see if I can. The reason why I'm pointing out no follow is because generally the no follows are going to be your directories and citations. So we have a count of 90. All right. Let's go take a look now. Let's grab the other player. This one right here. And I'm looking at the root. Like I'm giving credit to everything, right? Like I didn't even go to just the New Orleans page. If I were to do that, it would be even lower. But these guys show up. They don't show up as much. Let's just take a look. All right. So the other player, remember, had 347 that were business industrial. So they were on category, right? And 90 that are no follow. I'm just saying hypothetically that the no follows are primarily going to be index citations and directories. Okay. But note the category is also very important. So here I'll point this out. Business industrial. 416, second is arts and entertainment. This is the site that's being rewarded. So this link graph is what we want to see. Business, arts, no follow is at 90. We're clear on this. Now we're going to go to the player that shows up, but not as high as this player. All right. They're probably close, but it's just not there yet. Let's see here. Well, right off the bat, we're off 500 referring, but not all links are created equal, as we know. And then we're going to end with this. This is a big piece. Look, half of the amount that are on category. On top of this, look at this category here was being rewarded very, very highly. For what reason? I'm not to decide. Google decides. But look at, they have all this. Okay. This might make sense, but that's not what's being rewarded. But this one does. Business and industrial is a huge category, but they have half of the amount. So that means they have half of the amount of relevant links. I wonder why they're not ranking. But let's look at the next thing. What about this part right here? Watch this. If I come in here and go to link attribute and no follow, our top guy had 90. What's this guy have? Wow. I'm blown away. Big difference though. So if these guys came to me, I'd say, hey, you need business industrial links. If you build 150 more, I bet you they go from 9s and 7s up to 3s, 2s, because Gaff is going to be hard to beat. And Garcia has probably been in the Serp a very long time, but I don't know. This is only my second time looking at this Serp, but I hope that I have at least shared with you category of link and category of link mattering. Here, I'll show you one more thing. Business industrial. We can all agree that Gaff is a very important company. This company shows up in every Serp nationally for roofing. So I just want to point something out to you. How much do you want to bet that their number one link category is business industrial? I would bet, I'll bet the farm on it, right? Here, watch. Winners will always be in the same link graph. Always. This is massive to understand. Watch. I bet $1 million. If I had $1 million, which I don't. But here, this is for fun. I'm just showing you this because I'm about to go. Business industrial. They've even got it even more finite. But it's business industrial category is their top category. They have, look how many links though. Like, I understand it's night and day, but it's business industrial. This is the link graph that we want to build in. Any winner anywhere is business industrial. Just to prove it, one more. Roofer. Let's go to another city. How about Los Angeles? Watch this. Los Angeles, probably spelled it wrong, which I did, of course. Why would I have? Is this person up at the top? J&J Roofing. Watch. How much do you want to bet business industrial? 1 million trucks? Here, watch. I have no idea. I'm just, it's a educated guess. Watch. Boom. It's been a pleasure. I love you guys. I hope that this has been helpful. Oh, I better answer some questions. I'm sorry. I forget that I am in. Okay, here. Ready? So baller, service and location is key. Yes. So would you, here, let's cut this off. Sometimes I don't want to see you guys know that I'm sweating in here. Look at, that's why I always make it small, because I'm friggin' sweating. And my dad, when he was here, he used to bust my chops. He's like, man, you're all shiny, Chris. Like, turn down the lights, dude. So I apologize. There, how's that? Not as bad, right? You know, it's these pet peeves. But anyway, so would you submit sitemap in Google Search Console to do this? You should always submit your sitemap in Search Console, but make sure that you're removing the old ones and updating. When you update the new one, I know it might seem like such a small thing, but what you'll notice is when you go and check your cache, what you'll see that it updates when you update your sitemap. Here's what I mean by this. All right, here. See, you caught me with one. I got to show you now. See, oftentimes what people will do is they'll just add the new one. But what I noticed, okay, and, you know, this could change tomorrow, but I just want to point this out to the people that are watching along with me, is when you come over here and you go to sitemaps, all right? So we have our sitemap page. This is for images. So what you'll do is you'll grab this. So when you have a new one, let me make sure that I have it. I do. You come up here and you go to remove. Okay. So when you have a new one, you come in here and you update it like this. And when you go and you check your cache on your pages, what you'll see is you'll get a fresh cache. It might not come, but submit it and check the next day. I guarantee you the pages that have a high index frequency will get new cache, right? Like Google went and crawled them. Here's what I mean. So when you come over here, let's just say you were Gaff. If you are awesome enough to be this company, see this, you'll notice that you'll get a new cache. They're getting crawled frequently. They were just here a couple days ago. So this is what I mean. So clear it out and update it. And yes, you want to update your sitemap to answer your question. Moving on. Oh, you didn't see that. Here, sorry. Here. This right here. So you come into your sitemaps and I just did it, but you'll come in here, page sitemap. You'll come up here, go to here, remove this, and then you'll add your new one, and you'll catch a new cache date. Okay. Depending on your sitemap's frequency of crawl, because you can set that. But yes, you want to update your sitemap. There's no question in my mind at all. All right. Now, I promised my son I'd go fishing, but I'm going to answer these questions because it's work, right? Hey, Chris, I didn't submit to Search Console because I was nervous and heard if you do it too much, they'll stop crawling your site. Is it okay since there were some major changes? Yes, but the changes that we talked about, I would like services and roofing. I would combine those pages and make one. So have a roofers page, roofers Metairie, roofers Kenner, roofers New Orleans, and then ditch those others and then update your sitemap. Don't initiate a 301. The only reason to initiate a 301 is if there's traffic or links. Initiating 301, Google will say, oh, hey, user declared different canonical. There'll be a million errors in Search Console. Plus, you're still calling the bot back to a page that doesn't exist. If you read the documentation, they clearly state 404 that page or 403 or private that page. So they know that that page no longer exists and this is the new page. To clarify, too much information. To clarify, get rid of the old pages, create the new pages, and update your sitemap. If you go in there every day and update your sitemap, that's a little absurd. But if you update it every single week, once a week, it's perfectly fine. All right? A challenge for me is that my roofing client does not only offer roofing exterior services, they also perform home inspections. So I don't have the luxury of trying to rank the homepage, nor do I think you should. You can rank for more than one keyword. Just because homepages are being rewarded doesn't mean that you can't have a top level page be rewarded as well. You can. All right. You know, it's that people don't want to wait the time that it takes in order to rank that page or spend the dollars or spend the time or the resources or like go through what it takes to rank a page. Like it takes time, you know? Which extension are you using to get the keyword search volume? That's keywords everywhere. And then to get the green bar underneath, yes, that's keywords everywhere. Yep, exactly, Brandon. Thank you. Roofing is the big keyword. Yeah, roofing and roofers are, there's no question in my mind that those are the keywords. 0.5 is another hour video. Yes, isn't that a fact? Hey, Chris, any time for Q&A today? Maybe. Dude, love watching you. Learned so much. Thank you, my friend. Chris, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Finally caught a live. Cool. Do you have a backlink service where we can order by category? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I have Majestic categories already outlined. You can choose by DR and category. All right. I consider them tier 2, tier 3 links. We have tier 1 service, which is Haro, and we're about to offer manual outreach and digital PR because that seems to be the buzz, which will be your high equity sites or tier 1 sites. And then we have the tier 2 and tier 3 covered, like sites that have low traffic and or very little traffic, but high equity that are niche specific. I have that. Then I have niche specific that are going to be Haro, manual outreach, or digital PR. That's, I'm a week away. We're going to have websites, PBN builds, and then manual outreach. That's coming. All right. I had a week of, I needed a little break there, but we're back. We're back. There's an awesome demonstration with category of links. Thank you. Any recommendation for new nonprofit trying to compete? I don't. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to breeze through these, but it's 5:00 and my time is up. Thank you for the educational. It's my pleasure. We can't see the screen. Okay, I fixed it. And what is the best time to get rid of old index pages for good? immediately, as soon as you possibly can. Tried Search Console, but it's only good for 6 months. Yes, well, that's a temporary removal. You're asking Google to take it from the Serp for a temporary 6 months. If you 404 or 410 those pages, that's what Google recommends. Or you can private them. You need to show Google that it's a 404, it's a page, or a 410. Page doesn't exist or page has been removed. Like that's what recommends. I made a video about this. I did two. I did one that shows how to block and temporarily get rid of, but then I showcased going through, hey, here's what Google says, which is 404, 410, or privatize. And you can read the documentation right inside of Search Console for removing content. It's all right there. Like technical stuff is super easy because it's very well documented by Google. All right. But that's going to wrap it up for me. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you for your time. I heard some chatter about CTR. If you have questions about CTR, if you want to utilize our CTR service, check us out. CR CTR service, you can utilize it. You can check us out at chrispalmer.org. I'll do a CTR Q&A coming up here pretty soon. I'm laying out right now. I'm laying out a bunch of niches and industries and business owners that said, hey, you can showcase my stuff. I have 100 different businesses, 100 that said, hey, Chris, go ahead. So I'm laying those out befores and afters, the winners and the losers. I have them segmented. And then what I want to do is I'm going to segment the losers, and I hate to say this, but why they were losers. But soon. But check out CTR. We have Haro. Any type of service that you need, I have you covered. Okay. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time. I'm going fishing with little Chris. Thank you so much. Have a blessed